Just don't think hogging out, think making it flow better, breathe better. Well, hey guys, how is everybody? I hope everyone's well. Again, I hope you're enjoying this video series. In this segment, we're going to wrap up the port work portion of things. Gonna get into the transfer ports. I honestly thought about getting into a big detailed trying to explain case compression and loop scavenging and things. We may save all that for a different video and just get into mainly what we're going to do here and why I think it should be done. Try to explain it to the best of my ability, but we'll try to keep it kind of low on the technical side of things, and like I said, mainly just give a brief explanation of what's going on here. Okay guys, let's leave the complex and technical things out of it and just kind of get to the point here. When I make one of those split in two saws, I ain't sure what I'm going to call it yet, but we'll figure something out. We may try to get into some technical things, get other opinions on it as well, but let's just leave it simple here in this video. Why would we want to raise the uppers? Okay, we increased intake duration. We've took a bigger charge into the crankcase. What a lot of builders would do is, you know, and I ain't saying it's wrong, hog a bunch of material out here. In this saw, there really ain't a lot of room to hog a bunch of nothing out, honestly. What little work I do here is going to be very, very minimal. It's just going to be minor flow characteristic work, and, you know, that's going to be it. But, okay, we've done machine work. We cut a little out of the band. We cut some off of the base. We ditched our gasket. We've dropped that cylinder down roughly probably around 35 thousandths. We lowered all of our ports that much as well. From where the saw was at in stock form, I didn't measure the thickness of that gasket. Usually on these they're somewhere compressed around somewhere between 10 and 15 thousandths. There's other saws that are thicker, use a thicker gasket, but generally these have a pretty thin gasket, or most every one of them that I've had apart. Okay, we kind of compensated back for that on our exhaust port. We widened it 2 millimeters. You can widen the transfers very little. There's just not a lot of room there to do a whole lot of widening. We can widen them back a little bit, but even in stock form, I feel the transfers were kind of choked off on this saw. I mean, at 28 degrees of blowdown, that's quite a bit in my, you know, in my opinion, from my building experience. There's builders out there that love that. You know, guys will explain pinching down a water hose. Yes, that's true. A smaller orifice does create more pressure, but a smaller orifice also cuts back on volume. Now, I like to look at these. I've said it in other videos. I like to look at the two-stroke kind of like a diesel. Some of your older Detroit diesels were two-strokes. They still may be some that is. I don't know. I'm not very versed in the diesel world. But I do know in a diesel, to increase the performance and horsepower of it, ask yourself how that's done, even if it's a programmer or if it's an old one of the older engines or what. You turn the fuel up on it. That's just the simplicity of it. You give it more fuel with that high compression and they make more power. Now, there's arguments all over the place about it. Guys will say transfer duration doesn't matter. You know, I'm not going to argue it, but in my experience it does. You've increased intake duration. It should make sense to you that you would want to increase your transfer time as well. how far can we go? I am going to take a little material out down here. And I will say, everything you do to this can change something somewhere else, if that makes sense. You can go too far with the intake timing. You can also grind too much away from your lower transfers or transfers in general. You can raise the uppers too high. What we're going to do in this case, I think when I checked it last, we had an open time of around 135. I'm going to shoot for an open time of 125 degrees. That means we're going to have to raise these roughly 80-90 thousandths plus to hit that. The way this cylinder's made, there's not a lot of room to play with angles and things. I could see why some builders would rather use the other cylinder. But for what we're going to do here and what we're wanting out of it, I think we'll get by just fine. I'm just going to try to angle straight up when I go to make my cuts until I hit that desired timing number. And what I'll do is we'll put a ring in the cylinder, set it on, spin our finder around till we hit that 125 open time. And I'm going to try to just make all four, the primaries and secondaries, open at that same 125 degrees. What does that get us? Takes us from 28 degrees below down to 19 degrees below down. That's going to give us more transfer open time, more poured area, hence a bigger charge coming through the transfers. There's a lot more technicality to it than all of this, but like I said, it would be easier to explain if I had one of those split in two cylinders. It can get confusing. A lot of it kind of still confuses me at times, but it doesn't really confuse me as much as it is hard to put into words, if that makes sense. I'm sure there's other guys that can just put it into words and get the point across. But again, anywhere you grind on this can make a difference in the way the saw acts. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quit running my mouth and making this drawn out and longer than it needs to be. And again, this may have sounded backwards or crazy to someone. If it does, I apologize. It's kind of hard to put what's in your mind out into words sometimes. But I'm going to set a ring in here. I've got one of the old ones off one of these old pistons. We're going to get it pushed up in there and make a mark. Depending on how well the cylinder marks, I may end up just taking and cutting out a piece of cord stock that we can set in there and give us a reference to grind up to. Okay guys, I've had a lot of guys over the last few years say, well, I can't raise my uppers, I don't have a right angle. This is just one way you can do it. You can even use those little cutter stones or cutter wheels that come with a Dremel. There's other kits you can buy that have actual stones that work better. But what this is a diamond abrasive. It's flat, it's round. This is a smaller one. Most everybody has a Harbor Freight near them, I think, or you can even order Harbor Freight stuff online. You can get this big set of these things. I ain't for sure how many originally comes in it, but there's a lot. It's like 17 bucks. As you can see, there's all different sizes and shapes of diamond abrasives in here. Really beneficial to your saw porter. I use them a lot on the ports. A lot of guys like to chamfer with the diamond ball. In some cases I do that. I've kind of got my own way I do that, or I've come up with. We may get into that at the very end of this video as well, but that's just, you know, one way of doing it. I'll demonstrate, I guess. What I've got here, it ain't nothing special. You might see my Fordham set up hanging in the background back there. If you can swing that without breaking your bank, or having to eat ramen noodles or ramen noodles for a month. I'd probably eat those for a month to get that, but you know, pick that kit up. It's expensive, but it's pretty good quality stuff. The shaft in it's a little flimsy. If you ain't careful with it, you can break it, but it's a pretty good setup. But for just the average person, I think Grizzly makes these. There's a lot of no-name ones on eBay, pretty cheap. This is the Fordham knockoff. This is the from Harbor Freight, Chicago Electric. This is the second one I've went through. The first one, the flex shaft broke. I still have all the rest of it here. Still have a hand piece with a different style of cutter in it. You know, it makes it handy just pop hand pieces off and go to a different cutter. But I'm not going to grind the whole port, but I am going to just show you. I don't know how much grinding videoing of the transfers I'm going to do. It's one of them, you kind of need them right up on you where you can watch what you're doing. We will video a little bit. You don't get that in the port. It's best to use some kind of lube. Just work it in and out, either flat or on your angle. And again, I've seen guys use all different types of different round flat cutters to do this. You know, they all seem to work. Hopefully the camera will pick it up and you can see what little we ground. We are already pulling material from that. They do a pretty good job. Can you get in and make it as uniform and nice as you can with the right angle? Probably not, but you can get it pretty daggone close. I've done it for better part of 3 years, using those with that little Dremel flex shaft piece, but sadly my Dremel died after about 7 years, so it was cheaper just to go buy another one of these Chicago Electric flex shaft setups to have a extra hand piece hanging here. But anyway, I'm not going to grind the whole port with that just because I kind of don't have to, but that's just showing you that you can do it without having the right angle. Okay guys, you'll have to forgive me for not showing a lot of video grinding with the right angle. It's just something, it's kind of hard to do out at arm's length, if that makes sense. And what you guys are looking through, I've got the camera set on a tripod sitting here basically in my lap about it. Got my arms stretched out trying to grind and give you guys an idea of what's going on. But we've got two roughed in, ground down to our Sharpie marks disappeared. I'll do the other side, and then we'll come back. I'll put a little small diamond abrasive on. I could actually shape those a lot better than I thought I was going to be able to. Evidently the casting's a lot thicker up there than just the actual cylinder sleeve itself. I have done one of these cylinders, but it's, you know, it's been a while back, and, you know, I had the caps off of it and done a lot of crazy stuff to it, but it'd been so long back, I've kind of got into the 346 style cylinders, and you know, it'd been a little bit since I've done one of these, I guess. But I'll bring you guys back when we go to do some fine detail work, and then when we do what little bit of grinding we're going to do down here. Okay guys, maybe give you an idea of how far we're moving things. You can hopefully see the one that I've not ground on, and the one that we have roughed in, which that finish is not bad. Man could probably just leave it as is, but I like to work things over with that diamond abrasive, and then I'll try to slip the tip of a cartridge roll in on things to kind of break that edge over and kind of start the deburring process, or chamfer. Everybody has their own thing they want to call it, but you're basically rounding that edge over and deburring and kind of knocking away any chances of wrecking the piston and ring. Okay guys, here's what I've done the roughing in with. It's just your average double cut carbide burr. This one actually came in that CC Specialties kit, so, you know, it's probably about a $20 bit if you go to their site and buy it, but it's aggressive, but not so aggressive that it's hard to control. If you've got really good strong wrists, these things are pretty easy to handle, but there's a really steep learning curve to using this right angle handpiece. Next, I'm going to switch back over to our little diamond abrasive. I actually have it stuck in my pocket. I actually dropped our cylinder. Wooden floor will be okay. We ain't got it cut super thin on the base anyway. I've cut some so thin if you dropped them we'd probably break the ears off, but just typical diamond burr. It comes in that kit I showed you. You know, nothing special, just to go in and do a little fine detail and cleanup work. Okay guys, so I won't be able to video all of this, but we'll video a little bit, just to give you an idea of where we're cutting. Mainly I'm just trying to create a very slight slope here. I don't want to remove a lot of material, but just enough. Okay guys, here's the stock side. You can kind of see how steep that is. This is all I've done on the other side. Very little. I'm sorry to disappoint the hog it out guys. Just unneeded, unnecessary. I've merely just broke that edge and blended it back in. Went in here and kind of pulled this back a little bit. Didn't completely knife edge it or anything, but that's about all we're going to do there. Using my less is more approach to this. Some builders probably wouldn't even do that. May help, it may not. Don't look at it as making it larger. Look at it is making it breathe a little better, or flow a little better. Guys, it's gonna be hard to video, but I like to take a cartridge roll, sandpaper roll, got a little wire on it. Take note with the tooling I usually don't end up a lot of burrs or anything anyway, but I like to break that edge on any port I've touched or others I've not touched if they feel sharp. Take note, a lot of your older cylinders, there's no chance for to pull them at all. All of your old K&S cylinders, none at all. They're just razor sharp. I've actually been cut by them. It's just something I like to do. I don't have a steady enough hand to go around those, the little bitty tiny diamond burrs. I see guys doing it. I just don't have it. This is my method. No risk of it hurting the plating in the cylinder. We'll go to our exhaust port, which I didn't even touch the roof of it. When I can of something in the floor, maybe in my bottle of water. I don't know, something hit the floor. And the way I finish that exhaust port, there's usually no burrs or nothing anyway, and usually ends up the chamfer. That's where the finishing with the sandpaper comes into play. And I'll even take this a step further when I'm done. This is just for demonstration. I'll spend a little more time on it than this. I'll take a piece of 400 grit paper with my hand, and we'll go around all the ports, visually inspect. I'll feel of them, just to make sure that there's nothing there that's going to cause a ring to snag, nothing there that's going to scratch our piston up. It's just, you know, kind of the final step. But in the situation of this, it's an old used cylinder. It had a scored piston in it. There's still at least a little bit of really fine hairline scratch there. It is what it is. It's going to be there. It's nothing that's going to hurt anything. Like I said, we may go over that in another video, kind of how to repair a cylinder to where you can use it again. But yeah, that's gonna kind of end it here on the porting part of this. I'll try to get some still images of it all, and we'll get back over here and get it back on the saw, and I'll make sure all my timing's where it needs to be, and you know, we'll wrap this one up, guys. Alright guys, probably wrap it up on this one, give you a finished look at everything. Again, didn't do a lot with the lowers, just don't think hogging out, think making it flow better, breathe better. The uppers turned out real nice, laid in really well, better than I thought they would, so I have no doubts this will be a good strong running little saw. Another look at the rest of the port work. Not a whole lot on the intake. You know, if you missed the previous video, you're welcome to watch it. And you know, we got a good nice finish on our exhaust port, got it widened. Again, should be a good strong running saw. Next part of the video we'll get into, I guess, and it'll probably be short and sweet, is just the muffler mod and the time in advance on it. If I choose to do a time in advance, we may just muffler mod it and leave it as is. You guys didn't think I was going to leave you hanging over something as simple as putting a port in a muffler. Guys, you can mod the muffler however you want. This muffler, I just felt that if I'd went to welding on it, put a pipe in it or something, it probably would have went to burning through. A lot of your older mufflers are that way. We just come over here and added a port. Really simple to do. So technically we've got a true dual port on it. I feel that's kind of all it needs. I've seen guys even just go in and open up that top port, open it up really big on some pretty strong builds on these. So you know, whatever you do is kind of totally up to you. I'm mainly trying to cover the porting segment of this anyway. Time in advance, and for right now, I'm just going to leave it alone. Really want to get it out and run it as is. If I feel, you know, it feels like there's something that just ain't there, we may make a video, do a before and after on the time in advance. I don't know, we'll just have to see, but I've got it tuned pig rich right now, but she's super snappy. You know, you can just tell it feels like it's going to be really torquey. I'm not like purposely flicking my wrist in these videos. I'm just blipping the throttle. The saws are doing what they want to do. I was actually accused of doing that. Some people, I don't know, they just out to try to raise someone's blood pressure, but you know, it's been a fun build. I did have to change the throttle linkage out. If you guys remember the old one, I kind of had trouble taking it off. I don't know what was up with that. They usually just super simple to get off, but I don't know, maybe that one was bent or something, so I just put another one on it, and she's perfectly fine. The issue I was having when I put the old one back on, it just really sticky, and the trigger would hang up, so I don't know, just put a new throttle linkage on it, and it's all a-okay now, but anyway, one of you guys had mentioned the muffler might vibrate off. Normally we'll put the 346 bracket on it and just cut the side off, but I really don't think I have one here. I'm going to look in one more place that I keep parts and see. I even went out to my junk shed and dug around to see if I had one, but I think on this will be just fine. He can just, you know, keep check on the muffler bolts every time he runs it, but that's just something to think of. If you switch to this cylinder, they say it causes vibration. And, you know, we've seen these cases all over eBay and places where the mufflers come loose, and melted that case on my 340. I've got that bracket on it because, you know, we generally use that saw a lot. I don't video it a lot, guys, but we do use saws a lot here. You know, not as much as a production wood cutter or tree feller or something, but do use saws a lot and rotate in and out a lot. I usually just have saws I have sitting here barred up and ready to go. Right here beside of me is that 365 we built, not the real nice one, but the other one that I wouldn't really call it crusty looking, but the one we done all the machine work to, which the other one has machine work done to it now, but again, you know, all of that's optional. The machine work's optional on it, but come on, guys, you can pull 4 screws out and block sand that little base to dial in your squish. I've got other videos where I show doing it. You know, you're not going to hurt a thing. You could just ditch the base gasket, you know, widen the exhaust port, clean it up, throw a little intake timing on it, raise your uppers, end up the decent running saw, but it just ain't gonna have the grunt that this is with the machine work done and the added compression. You know, I enjoyed a lot of this. I'm already getting some comments from other channels thrown at me. One channel anyway, I thought me and the fella were good, but you know, evidently I've put out a bunch of bad information. I don't know what the deal is, just because I grind the uppers and I bought a lathe and do machine work. It kind of, I don't know, it's, you know, if a few hundred people get this and it's helped them, and over time these videos will grow. I'm not really worried about it. It is what it is. Some people want to do stuff just try to upset you, or, you know, they're jealous that maybe you're going to take something away from them. I just don't understand it, and I ain't going to call no one out by name. I've had people ask me that in the comments. I'm not going to do it. That's how you get sued. That's how you get strikes against your channel, and it has happened all over YouTube. You know, we'll just leave it at that, but hopefully the next video, and hopefully it's tomorrow night, I'll go ahead and throw a short up of this thing running tonight so you guys can see it. But hopefully tomorrow we get in here, get a bar and chain on it, get it set up right, and that's a main part of saw building. If you ain't got a good sharp chain, you're just wasting your time. That's just not my opinion. That's the honest truth about it. But all the power in the world don't mean anything if a chain ain't right. But anyway, as always, thank you guys for watching. I hope everyone enjoyed this, and maybe someone learned something from it. Maybe it helped someone. This is just my way. It ain't the only way to do it. Again, I don't know why people get upset. I'll promise you, if you copy this build, you'll end up the saw you enjoy running. But anyway, you guys have a good one.